Welcome on into Mizzou Central Postgame. Luke Slabaugh here, along with former Mizzou tight end Vic Faust and sportscaster Chris Pelican here. Heartbreaker in Nashville. Gateway to the South. The Tigers fall 17-10 against another top 10 opponent. The marquee game in the SEC today. The Tigers looking for their first regular season top 10 win over an opponent since Georgia in 2013. The Tigers handed so many opportunities. They collapse. And the final play, one of the most Mizzou moments in recent memory. Hail Mary to the end zone, through the breadbasket of receiver Kevin Coleman, caught inches short of the goal line, and Mizzou falls 17-10. Vic, your takeaways tonight.
A lot of good, a lot of bad, a lot of heartbreak. And the thing that's sad about it all is the fact that we're walking away with another loss. We're walking away without a starting quarterback. Zollers is part of the good. That was great to see. But at the end of the day, you had another opportunity to win a game that you couldn't. And there's one play, literally one play that changed everything, and we'll get into it. And it's a handoff or a fake handoff or whatever between Mr. Zollers and Jamal Roberts. And I have a feeling this one is on the running back, and it's sad. And I'm smiling so I don't cry because this whole thing was unbelievable, and it should have been a Tigers victory. When you shut down Mr. Pavia and you still lose 17-10.
17-10 the final. We'll get to that key turnover in a second. Chris Pelican, your takeaways.
Yeah, Luke, I mean, it's a ton to unpack in this one. The end of the day, I would tell you that I think Missouri played the better football game of the two, but too many critical mistakes at huge moments in that game, and that's the difference. You see Beau Pribula go down, and I think every Missouri fan's heart sunk at that point, right? We're in a bad spot at this point in time. The goal, the stated goal of playing in the playoff, seemingly kind of drifting away at that point in time. And you know what? I mean, like, if we're going to have some silver lining to this thing, I mean, the team seemed to rally around the fact that they were going to have an 18-year-old in there playing quarterback in Matt Zollers. And the defense played a really good game, save a couple of plays, and to be real honest with you, I'm looking at this thing and saying, I don't know that Zollers didn't play better than Pribula in that game. And, again, you say before the season, you're going to lose your top two quarterbacks by week 8. That has to adjust the expectation. But hostile environment, Matt Zollers went out there and played a really nice game and kept his team in it. I know that Kirby Moore has drawn the ire of our friend Vic here for the last couple weeks on play calling. And honestly, the first half seemed to be more of the same. But then we started seeing a lot of the motion plays, a lot of the misdirection, and a lot of the play action. And it seemed to, there seemed to be a lot more there. So hopefully this is a building block for this team, in terms of what they're going to do offensively. I don't really even know how to unpack or get where we're at with this group at the moment because, again, this isn't going to look like a terrible loss on the resume. It's a road loss to the 10th ranked team that came down to, as you put it, Luke, a couple inches near the goal line at the end of the game. And, but the schedule is absurdly hard. You still got Texas A&M in a few weeks. You've got, Oklahoma on the road. I mean, there's tough games still ahead. And by all accounts, again, nobody's officially, I haven't heard anything official on Pribula, but, when you see a cart in an air cast, that usually is not a great sign. So, part of me wants to sit there and say, you know what, kudos to this defense for going out there and taking Diego Pavia's Heisman campaign and wadding it up and throwing it in the toilet. Because he looked very pedestrian today. But then the other part is too, this has been, when you say so Mizzou, I look at it and say, if we want to go back over the last, pretty much the entire drink era, there's always games where it seems like the Tigers just do a couple things wrong. And the sad part is in high level football, you don't have the ability to make 3 or 4 critical mistakes in the game and survive and get the win. So again, downtrodden, not feeling great about how things are right now. But if we really want to kind of dissect this thing, defense looked otherworldly for the most part. And Matt Zollers, I mean, it kind of reminded me of when Garrett Gilbert, as a Texas freshman, went in for, went into the national championship game and almost led Texas to a victory. Like Zollers, I don't know if it was just adrenaline, but man, he came out and just looked really good. And, that's behind an offensive line that didn't protect particularly well. So again, I guess, Luke, I would just sort of say, like a lot of these games so far this year, kind of complex, a lot of different things to think about and feel on this one. But, we'll have the next few days as we see what happens, with Beau Pribula's health and that sort of thing to dissect it. But all in all, I mean, hugely disappointing because this is a game they could have won. But again, if you don't say there were some bright spots in this thing, then you weren't watching the game. So my thoughts.
There were some bright spots. And speaking of bright spots, how about the people that are the team behind our team? I'm talking about our folks at Home Bank, one of the main sponsors of this show. From business lending to everyday banking, Home Bank has been with us since day one as a trusted partner. Business ain't just about the numbers, it's about relationships. And with Home Bank, those relationships make all the difference. Home Bank is the team behind our team at STL Sports Central. Visit myhomebank.bank or call 855-577-2001. Home Bank, member FDIC, more than a bank, they're your business partner. Looks like our good friend backstage, Matthew Rocchio, pulled up a good comment from one of our loyal viewers here on STL Sports Central. One of those red zone possessions, and we know Vic, that you had your qualms with offensive coordinator Kirby Moore. 2 plays at the goal line. The one where Beau Pribula gets bent over backwards there on 4th down. Your best playmaker, Ahmad Hardy, running back, does not get the ball. What was your takeaway?
My takeaway was we did it backwards. I didn't mind the Beau Pribula play call, but you don't run that on 4th down. You run that on 1st down or 2nd down, maybe. Easy for me to judge. Yeah, I know I'm not making $1.5 million a year to call plays, but I'm sorry. You've got to be better, coach. You have to be better. And to think, and it's not only the offensive coordinator, and I'm sorry, I give him a C today. Now, and I only give him a C because of what he did with Zollers when Zollers came into the game. There's a couple things to break down there. But I was frustrated beyond belief with that series. However, how about we get another chance and we miss a field goal? And that is something that we said at some point this year would rear its ugly head and cost the Tigers. Missing the field goal hurt the Tigers. And I don't care anymore about people being 18, 19, or 20 years old. When you're collecting money, you're going to collect all of the criticism that comes with it. He is a terrible kicker, and I'm saying it right now, and I know I've got a son who's probably going to be playing college football next year. And if he did it, I would call him out, and I'll do it with love. But we got to find a kicker. If that's the best kicker that Eli Drinkwitz can find, making over $9 million a year, then he needs to be checked. Because that's 2 weeks in a row, 2 easy kicks that cost the Tigers. It was brutal. 2 possessions, deep in Vanderbilt territory, 0 points. And thank God Matt Zollers had the game that he did and showed the poise that he did, or we wouldn't even have been in the situation that we were. And by the way, a lot of credit to Jude James. I'm afraid that something's wrong with our starting tight end. Where was he at the end of the game? We had Jude in the game.
Reported by ESPN that he was missing with an upper body injury. Brett Norfleet, nothing specific from the Missouri.
That's a problem. Now, Jude James came in and did a fantastic job, who, by the way, ironically, is another Francis Howell high school product, tight end, starring for Mizzou. They stepped up. And Corey Batoon, I love you, man. Nobody can say anything about you anymore. You have proven to be a top-notch defensive coordinator. And this team, with their defense, can still come out and beat Texas A&M. And I know that sounds crazy, but I'm telling you, that defense is one of the top 5 defenses in America.
All eyes will be on how the Aggies compete against the LSU Tigers tonight in a ranked matchup as well. You mentioned the missed field goal by Robert Meyer, and that did feel like a back-breaking play at the time, a 3-3 game. However, the next play from scrimmage, the defense collapses like a souffle. McKylan Young runs for 80 yards in the Vanderbilt touchdown to make it 10-3. The one time, Chris, where the defense slipped up on a first down play.
Yeah, and you know what, Luke, it's the good folks from Home Bank sponsor, our big play of the game, our the money moment of the game is what it's called. And I will tell you that there's 2 money moments in this game for me. that run for sure, just a game-changing run. Hate calling people out. Actually, I don't. But Marvin Burks takes a really bad angle on that play and lets the outside, opens up the outside for Young to take it all the way for the touchdown. And then obviously, I would say, that the handoff that went straight to a Vandy defender. I mean, those two plays don't happen, and I think Mizzou wins this game by double digits. And it's just sort of a, again, but that's the whole that this is football, right? I mean, you cannot let up at any point in time in the game. And again, Mizzou sort of dominated time of possession in this thing more often than not. Again, yeah, they just did not cash in on red zone chances left and right. So didn't do the little things and gave up a couple of really, really tough plays. And that's the difference in this thing. And so, again, I can two things can be true at the same time. Mizzou probably was the better team on the field today, but they didn't do enough to win. And that can be the case in football, and that was the case today. So, again, disappointing outcome for sure. But Drink is going to have a couple of things to show that team. But again, we talked about Norfleet going out, and Jude James looked really, like there is encouraging signs that like the depth is there with this group. And if we're going to go to one other area where maybe I was kind of bullish on this offensive line early in the year, and boy, it just seems like, and again, they're going up against some of the best defensive fronts you're going to see in the country the last few weeks. But boy, they are not holding their own against those.
But Chris,
and if this team wants to avoid having Tommy Locke starting games for them, this front is going to have to be a lot better. Going to have to be a lot better than they are. So, again, I mean, it's just all is not lost in my mind with the season, but boy, it looks daunting at this point in time, and we'll just have to see where things go. So, hey,
Chris,
look,
how long do we have you for, Chris?
I got to run. I got a 8th grade junior football playoff game going on behind me with my son in it. So I'm going to turn it over to you guys, but all right. Keep it rolling, and thanks for having me on today.
Appreciate you, Chris. That is SEC Father of the Year candidate Chris Pelican signing off for us here on Mizzou Central Postgame. Vic Faust, Luke Slabaugh. Plenty more of the gang to come up later as Eli Drinkwitz holds his press conference right now. Vic, you made note at the top of the show about your impact play of the game. We're talking middle of fourth quarter. Mizzou is driving all the momentum. Chris had just mentioned big time of possession and field possession game. The handoff not clean to Jamal Roberts from Matt Zollers at the mesh point. CJ Hurd takes it away for Vanderbilt, and by that point, they got the ball midfield. What was a momentum killer for the Tigers on what could have been an easy touchdown drive for them? What did you see there? And honestly, I mean, the biting analysis from a rookie mistake, a freshman mistake.
Well, here's the thing, Luke. I wanted to get Chris's opinion on this too, and yours. We don't know yet, but Luke, are you telling me you think it was Zollers' fault?
Well, it's a two-way street, is it not? I mean, the exchange is,
here's
quarterback to running back.
I was watching with my son, former quarterback, and I was watching another son who plays right now as a senior in high school, had a game today as well. They both unequivocally said that was 100% on Jamal Roberts. Now, we will see. We'll find out from Coach. Hopefully we do. Because unlike Chris, I come from a different school of thought. All these kids, all these students, they wanted their money. They want to be treated like pros. Well, they're going to take the criticism like pros. Deal with it. That's how I teach my kids. I love my kids. It's about tough love. They screwed up. It cost them the game. It was the most vital play in the game. And I love my Missouri football. But you have to talk about facts. And there's no, this, and it's, that. To me and my boys, and I hope that I'm wrong, I would rather it be a problem with a true freshman quarterback than a running back who's helped out this year. But it looked to me, and if you look at the replay, that Jamal had his hands. He created the breadbasket, so to speak, and then he pushed his arms away really fast to block. It looked to me like it was on the running back, but I don't know. And here's the other issue. We haven't seen that happen all year. And quite honestly, when's the last time have we seen any play like that in a college football game? where you seriously have a situation where the opposing team takes the ball away from you in your backfield because your quarterback and your running back can't figure it out. The other thing that I couldn't understand is, why was Roberts in there on a fake play with a new quarterback as well, when Roberts isn't getting most of the carries as well? I go back to the offensive coordinator. Now, I know it's a little thing, but at the same point in time, it cost them the game. I repeat, it cost them a game. I repeat, it cost them the game. Now, there were other mistakes, and people will say one play doesn't cost you a game. I disagree. One play can cost you a game, and I've been around enough plays as a high school player, as a coach, as a college player, and watching my kids play. It's sad, and that play cost them the game, and you got to call it out. It is what it is. We made more mistakes. Vanderbilt was not a better team than Missouri, but Vanderbilt won the game. Missouri will not be in the college football playoff unless they run the table. If they run the table, they'll be in the college football playoff. But it's also a standpoint of this. Missouri season's not lost if they have 3 losses. It's not. But it's not a college football playoff. And at the end of the day, Eli Drinkwitz, I love you, and I love what you've done at Mizzou, and I'm still a backer of yours, but you're still winless against top 10 teams.
That's infuriating. And as Vic mentioned, that is our home bank money moment of the game.
I'm not being too mean, am I?
No. I mean, this is all in the pocket. All in the pocket. The money moment of the game brought to you by Home Bank, the team behind our team at STL Sports Central. Visit myhomebank.bank or call 855-577-2001. Okay, we've got breaking news from Chris Gervino of the Mizzou Network, my former boss, a friend of ours here on the show. Says Eli Drinkwitz tells Chris Gervino postgame that Beau Pribula did not break any bones in his third quarter injury, but it is unclear right now how long he will be out. Of course, that doesn't eliminate anything to do with ligaments or tendons involved in the knee or the ankle. We don't know. It was kind of lower on the left leg where he had the air cast as he was getting wheeled off the field. So at least no fractures. X-rays negative at this time.
No, I'm glad to hear that. First of all, I'm glad to hear that for his own good, because Beau Pribula has been nothing but a superior leader and athlete for Missouri. He has been. Now, was Missouri playing great with him a quarterback? No. But didn't you kind of see the trend starting to change? We were starting to move down the field with him and Hardy and our run game, and we were taking control of the game. Now, obviously, we had our issues getting down there and not scoring on the play, but things were starting to change. That hurts. It does hurt. To my son and said, this is bad for Mizzou if he is not good with pressure, but it's also good for Mizzou because Vanderbilt, their defense, they don't know how to prepare for a quarterback they've never seen. And playing both sides of the ball in games at Mizzou, you learn fast that when you don't have tape on somebody, it's very difficult. Kind of like facing in the major leagues with the World Series going on. When you face a pitcher you've never seen, the pitcher always has the advantage. You start to learn about what's happening with the pitcher and what they're going to do. Same thing with a quarterback. And Matt Zollers, thank God, he gives us some hope. He zings the ball. He makes good decisions. Here's the other thing. He didn't get rattled. And there were some plays where coverage broke down, or his blocking broke down. And he didn't make mistakes. He didn't throw any interceptions. And I love that. Chris spoke about it eloquently before he had to get off. I loved it. I loved what we saw from Zollers. That's a positive. The defense, a positive. The pass rush, a positive. Totally, as Chris said, disrupting a Heisman candidate in Diego Pavia today. But at the end of the day, the mistakes killed you. And even at the last play of the game, you still have Coleman making a catch on the half-yard line, and you lose on the half-yard line. All of those things play in, but I still like what we saw from Zollers. I can tell you this much. There's no way Beau Pribula is back in 2 weeks. Not if he's carted off a field in an air cast. There's no way. And then you get ready with Zollers, and you see what he can do. And that means everybody has to step up. And also, we kind of forgot about Hardy. Hardy had a really good game and was doing well until we had to kind of switch things around and play catch up. So I credit the offensive line today. They played much better than they did at Auburn.
Offensive line played a lot better. You had mentioned the mistakes coming back and biting Mizzou, and through the first half, it seemed as if the first quarter was clean on both sides in terms of penalties, save for a kick catch interference that was kind of a borderline call there against Vanderbilt. But then the final 3 quarters, Mizzou commits 8 penalties for 88 yards, and they are the most penalized team in terms of yardage. That had not been the case just due to a couple of missteps by Vanderbilt. We saw 2 tripping penalties against the offensive line.
By the way, that second penalty was BS. The first one was legit. The second one was BS. And the worst part about it is that it came at the most inopportune time. Do you agree or disagree with the second call?
I disagree with the second call as well. There was a pass interference called against Mizzou on an uncatchable ball. And there,
we were not the team of choice with the SEC today. That's for sure.
I mean, Clark Lee had a good chance he had good reasons to pick a bone with the refs on some of the calls against his guys. That unnecessary roughness there when they were charging in the red zone early on. Like,
good point.
I get where he was coming from. You could read his lips very clearly. What are we doing out here to the refs? And even that what they originally called a fumble at the goal line for Alexander.
That was brutal.
Yeah, it was. I mean, you gave Mizzou fans just a dose of optimism there at the 2-yard line. And then 5 seconds later, Bob Wischusen and Louis Ritter saying, man, that's one of the worst, bare-eyed calls that you've seen from the naked eye. So, yeah, it wasn't a well-officiated game, but it started out like they were going to let him play. Started out, they were giving guys some breathing room, some space, and it was going to be, tough, hard-nosed, classic, low-scoring SEC game. And no, I mean, the laundry did get in the way towards the end there, and sometimes to their detriment. I mean, you mentioned Diego Pavia and his offensive line. They put him in more danger and in worse situations than he really needed. He had a touchdown overturn there, scrambling, had 3 flags and a hat on the field. So it was sloppy for Vanderbilt. They gave Mizzou so many chances on a platter.
No, they did. And I just want Missouri fans to realize and appreciate right now how good this defense is and how good the D-line is, because now we're not building programs anymore in college football and NIL. What we're doing is you're building a year-by-year team. And this year's team, from a defensive standpoint and from a front 7 standpoint, is absolutely phenomenal. The pressure they get, the way they stop the run, there's no guarantee that this is going to be this good next year. There just isn't. So appreciate it. Yes, Missouri's lost 2. Are the chances against them at making the playoff? Yes. Do they have 2 losses that aren't bad? Yeah, they're not bad. But it means if they're going to make the playoff, and not that the playoff has to be the end-all, end-all, but that's what they were talking about. Here's the problem. Now you got to run the table and we'll see what happens with Beau Pribula. But you've got to run the table to make the college football playoff. If you don't, I would be very disappointed if this team ends the regular season with more than 3 losses. If they get another loss, they get another loss. You finish 9-3. Anything more than that's very disappointing to me at this point in time. And the other thing about it is this defense has proven time and time and again now, they're going to keep you in the game no matter what the deal is up until the end. They've done it twice now with Alabama and with Vanderbilt and with Auburn. We got one of those wins. And now you regroup. And then you look forward to Texas A&M.
Here's my beef with that for a second, Vic, is that the Tigers were gifted a 6-game homestand to start. A couple of conference games in your non-conference slate there. That is unprecedented. The conference gave them just this row to go start the season on a momentum roll. If they did not convert that start into a college football playoff berth, to be the 12th best team in the country, if they can't convert that, they never would. And moving ahead to your point, yes, they've got the bye week. They can give Zollers some reps. You can prepare for Texas A&M, number 3 in the nation right now, the Time and Network on Saturday, November the 8th, to be determined. But this was, again, the most ideal situation that Mizzou has had in a long time. That is an unprecedented homestand to open up a college football team, and to now be sitting 6-2, and Vanderbilt being, the most, the biggest game of the year so far. To be quite honest, it's left a bad taste in my mouth. I don't know. What say you?
Well, here's the other problem you have now. Is it final yet? Did Oklahoma lose to South Carolina?
Bama beat them. Bama beat South Carolina.
They came back and won. Okay, so that loss to Alabama still looks okay, or at least more positive. And you're literally going down to the final wire, literally the final play, losing with a true freshman quarterback. As Chris said, it's not a bad loss. It's a loss. It's another loss to a top 10 team. It's a loss with tons of mistakes and blunders. It's a loss that should have been a win. All those things are frustrating, but you're still 6-2. Here's the deal. I know this is difficult to think about. As hard as I can be on the coaches and as hard as I can be on the players, and with good reason, and I told you my reasons why I am, is this. If they still come back, if Missouri beats Texas A&M and they're 7-2, and we'll see what happens tonight, and they beat Texas A&M, how are we talking about Missouri with a chance to still go to Oklahoma and take one? And we've already seen Oklahoma. Let's see how they respond to the rest of their season. You know, I'm still thinking, I know it's a lot to ask, but there's still a lot to play for Missouri. And the reason is defense travels, and this defense has proven they're going to keep Missouri in games regardless. It's not over yet. The playoff picture is not over yet. Is it a low percentage? Yeah. But at the same point in time, Eli and his team have to clean up the mistakes. And I don't know what you do about your kicking game. I don't know, in this time of NIL, is it too late to go get somebody? I'm just telling you right now, Malik Orson, a kicker at SEMO at Southeast Missouri State, is better than anybody on Missouri's roster right now. Go check him out. That kid should be at Mizzou. Mizzou passed on him, and shame on them for that. Go check out Malik Orson at SEMO, booming 60-yarders. He would not be missing field goals like we're missing right now.
You don't have to look much further than the kid who kicked on College Game Day today. Vanderbilt.
Yeah, no kidding. That was the highlight of my day.
I was happy. They really built that up really well. You mentioned the Mizzou defense, and it does travel, Vic. We'll go back early third quarter. Diego Pavia on 3rd and 2, pass deflected at the line of scrimmage by defensive lineman Chris McClellan, kid I knew back from Tulsa when he was at Edison Prep, when he was a 15-year-old kid.
Great call for Tulsa.
Yeah, Damon Wilson recovers it on the interception. You want to talk about transferring, by the way. Chris McClellan started out at Edison Prep in Tulsa, transferred his senior year to Owasso, and then started his college journey and ended up transferring to Missouri. But that was a long trip for him. Back in the day, Barry Odom was recruiting really well down in Oklahoma, was recruiting J.J. Hester, Gentry Williams, some of the other guys down there. Oklahoman himself, Barry Odom. But anyway, a really good interception to set up that red zone drive that did not end in any points for the Tigers. But in terms of being able to bat something down to the line of scrimmage, I mean, Pavia finishes with fewer passing yards than Zollers. Like, as you had mentioned, this was a big bite in the Heisman campaign. He is pretty much Johnny Football with a conscience. And I think that they silenced some of the ego there with that play in particular.
No, they did. But here's the thing. We all feel not so good right now because of how they lost. And we see how good they can be. And I don't know if it's better to lose like they did or get blown out. But the bottom line is Missouri is so much better than they used to be. But at the same point in time, we're still so far away because we still have not beat that top 10 team. And I love Eli Drinkwitz. And now you've got a bunch of the talk about, oh, Florida. Eli Drinkwitz is not going to Florida. Okay, I'm telling you right now. Come back and play this tape again. I'm just telling you right now, Eli Drinkwitz is not going to Florida, and he hasn't beaten a top 10 team. You got to beat a top 10 team. You have to, especially if you're in the SEC and especially if you plan on making playoffs, because the SEC is so good, and you got to beat the best to be the best. Didn't Ric Flair tell us that? It's pretty simple. Missouri is not beating the best. So what Missouri has to do to prove to themselves, their coaches, and their fan base is come back out and beat Texas A&M in 2 weeks, whether Texas A&M wins tonight or not, down in the swamp at LSU.
You know, when I think of Mizzou and Texas A&M and that series over the years, but particularly early on in the SEC when both teams joined the conference, was 2013. Henry Josie taking it to the house, the Tigers beating up Johnny Football, aforementioned, and my brother and I rushing the field there towards the end. That's
beautiful
core memory. and you're talking about, ranked wins, teams against or wins against esteemed top 10 teams. Mizzou still looking for a regular season top 10 win against an AP top 10 opponent since Georgia in October of 2013. The Ohio State junior varsity team, I don't usually count that, but it was a fun one. It was a good one down there in the Cop.
Yeah, no, it was a good win, but they didn't play their whole team. Let's get real. Missouri didn't play their whole team, but neither did Ohio State. And that's what I hear criticism of Eli. And there's always going to be negative pundits out there. I mean, there were negative pundits even going into this game. There were negative pundits after Missouri beat Auburn. Eli Drinkwitz shouldn't get a extension. And he should. You know what? I love Eli, and I love what he's done. But I don't think you give him an extension yet. Do I know who you would replace him with if he were to leave? No. But you got to beat the best to be the best. And we're still not beating the best. But the great thing about college football playing in the SEC and for Missouri is they're going to have a chance to play Texas A&M in 2 weeks. And then after that, they're going to have a chance to go on the road and beat Oklahoma, who also lost their second game. You're going to have an opportunity to do that and get this season back on track. I know winning out sounds crazy to a lot of people after they just lost with possibly a true freshman quarterback. But guess what? You find a way. You win out. You still go to the playoff. If you lose one, yeah, you're not going to the playoff, but it's still a good season. You lose two more, it's a disappointing season.
Disappointing.
In my humble opinion.
Opinion is humble. Also humble, one of the other sponsors of this show, our guys over at DraftKings. The crown is yours. We should make a note that all programming here on STL Sports Central powered by our friends at DraftKings. I'm glad we could get this in today. It's America's top-rated sportsbook coming soon to the Show Me State. Missourians, let's get on board here. New Missouri customers can get $300 in bonus bets when we go live on December 1. Download now and place a first $5 bet when DraftKings Sportsbook goes live. When they launch, they bring everything you need to elevate your game day. Live in-game betting, lightning-fast payouts, endless ways to get in on the action, all right from your phone. And when DraftKings goes live in Missouri, you'll be betting with the Sportsbook app trusted by millions, safe, secure, and with fast money withdrawals. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use the code STL Sports to grab $300 in bonus bets with just a $5 bet when DraftKings goes live December 1. That's code STL SPORTS in partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus. Physically present in Missouri. Eligibility restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Excludes customers who redeem pre-launch sign-up offer. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos. Mizzou Central Postgame also brought to you in part by the Legal Buddy app. Let me tell you what that is all about. We love Legal Buddy. Life happens fast. 1 minute you're driving home. If you're not Vic Faust and you pull over like a responsible human being, you could be in trouble. If you got lights flashing in your rear view, trouble's knocking, you're staring down the barrel of a DWI, don't do that. With the Legal Buddy app, you can connect to a local attorney in seconds, whether it's DWI, car accident, criminal charge, or a traffic ticket. Download the Legal Buddy app today at LegalBuddyApp.com. Register, use code LEGAL, that's legal, to enter for a chance to win a $250 Amazon gift card. Always on your side, that's the Legal Buddy app. We've covered special teams. We have covered the Mizzou defense. We have covered the Mizzou offense. What slipped under the radar today that perhaps we haven't touched on quite yet, Vic?
Well, I mean, officiating is always a big deal. We talked a little bit about officiating. You talked about Missouri's penalties. Most, I think, were warranted. Some shocked me. But at the same point in time, you can't continue just to blame officiating over and over and over again. I felt officiating in some senses was not for Missouri. You brought up a couple plays that went against Vanderbilt. But when you had a chance to win, you couldn't do it. When you had a chance to win against Alabama, you didn't do it. So that was frustrating. And who is that very frustrating for? It's frustrating for fans. But I wanted to throw a shout out. I wasn't in Nashville. I'm in St. Louis. But hearing from friends of mine who made the trip and seeing the stands and hearing the cheers for Mizzou, one thing is for certain. Missouri fans have certainly shown up this year, and credit the Missouri faithful for doing what they have done this year. And I just hope, I really do hope that our fan base shows up at Texas A&M. I'll be there, and I can't wait to see what we do, because I can imagine, regardless of what happens tonight, if Missouri can come back and beat Texas A&M at home and give themselves a legitimate shot again at the college football playoff, this feeling that we feel right now after losing to Vanderbilt will be a lot less than what it is now. There's no doubt in my mind. So it's not all lost yet. You lose to Texas A&M, then yeah, today feels even worse. But credit the fans for doing what they've done. We don't have a start time for the A&M game yet. And once we find that out, just show up in Columbia. Do everything you can to make it a brand new winning streak there at Faurot Field.
I'm getting word, yeah, the flex time will either be 3:30 or 6. That rules out. I mean, they weren't going to do the SEC network early kick anyway, and I'm not the kegs and eggs type, but still waiting on a network on that. Well, why don't we? I mean, Brennan Schaefer and Grant Salzman are lingering somewhere, probably doing interviews. I mean, Vanderbilt updated their stadium since the last time I was there. I was there in 18.
It's a weird looking stadium.
They had the crank mechanical elevator back from the 1920s still there when I was there about 7 years ago. They got rid of that, and they have integrated the hotel there. I forgot. I think there's a Hilton there, but that rhombus-looking thing in the end zone, one of their end zone, I think that's a hotel that overlooks
Spaceship.
It looks better. Yeah, it looks a lot better than it used to. What used to be Dudley Field down there in Nashville. If we want to look ahead towards Texas A&M, I mean, that's a team that did risk it for the biscuit. They got Mike Elko out of Duke. Good defensive background that he had. They have recruited extremely well. And while Texas A&M has always been looked at as a sleeping giant, they have invested in one of the better facilities in the conference, one of the best stadiums. I would argue the best stadium in the conference, in a similar way that Mizzou has poured into their program. How, Faurot Field looks a lot different and continues to become a football cathedral. Kyle Field and College Station in particular, they have done everything right. Went down to the wire with Notre Dame, beat them 41-40. They are currently kicking off against LSU scoreless in the first quarter down there in Death Valley.
Yeah.
Beat Florida, beat Arkansas.
Well,
this is a team that does well on both sides of the ball.
Well, the thing is, we look forward, or at least I'm looking forward to Texas A&M. But we talked a little bit about it earlier, but we couldn't call it a show today without talking about the possibility of where we are from a health standpoint. Obviously, Missouri's been okay when it comes to injuries. I don't see any way Beau Pribula comes back in the next game. All right. Upper body injury with, from our standpoint of, our tight end with Brett Norfleet. So that's an issue. I mean, he's one of the best tight ends in America. He is. Not that Jude James is any slouch. Jude James is a different type of player. Jude James is more of a receiver / tight end than a blocker, then go out and catch a pass like Brett Norfleet is. Brett Norfleet's the complete tight end. Jude is more of that receiver, kind of a 6'2", 6'3", 236 tight end, where Norfleet's, 6'6", 6'7", and you know how big and fast and well he moves with long arms, easy target. That could be an issue. The other thing that we look at, obviously, the quarterback, the offensive line looked they were good, but did we have any issues with Wilson at defensive end when he got hurt on that play on the interception?
I can't really speak to that. I wasn't entirely certain how that play turned out, at least for him.
But I don't know if we saw him come back into the game. I'd love to hear from Eli about injury report and where we stand. And then I know I was a little bit negative on the whole debacle, which cost us the game with the handoff. And I hope it's Zollers who did that, because it would make sense if it was a true freshman quarterback. To me, it looked like it was the running back Roberts. But also, I get concerned when you think about where Missouri is going to go moving forward with this team, because the secondary, while they played well today, they played very, very well. It was just in some key moments in that final drive where Vanderbilt scored a touchdown. I was like, I thought we could have been just a little bit better, but it might be nitpicking. Corey Batoon had that team and the defense ready to play today against a Vanderbilt team that was scoring points with anybody and everybody, Heisman hype, and then we just couldn't score any more than 10 points.
Makes sense. Well, the lights seemed a little bit too bright sometimes there for the Tigers towards the end. A couple of penalties on that final drive that hampered them getting closer to the red zone and the end zone. The Hail Mary comes up just a tad short. And that's where we'll leave it. Any final thoughts, Vic, before we sign this one off? Looks like Grant and Schaefer.
I'm frustrated. Yeah, I'm frustrated with the loss, like many Missouri fans should be, and we should be, because you don't want to have to accept this when it was another loss where it could have been, should have been, would have been a win, had a couple plays go from here to there. But what I'm trying to do is tell myself, Vic, all is good in 2 weeks when Missouri beats Texas A&M, and they're 7-2, and they just beat a top 10 or top 15 team, and they're going to get right back up in the rankings and put themselves back into the talk of a college football playoff. So those are my final thoughts. You got to clean up the penalties, clean up the mistakes. And where does Missouri go with their quarterback position from here?
Team's got to salvage a season, loses their top 2 quarterbacks, Beau Pribula and Sam Horn, of course, in the season opener. 11 conference games since the start of 2024, now 12. The Tigers at 7-5 since the start of last year. 7 of those, or 8 now, have been 1-score games. 5-3 in those games for the Tigers. Still looking for their first ranked win since September of last year against then number 24 Boston College. Haven't dropped the anvil on an SEC team for a long time. Still waiting for that final top 10 win. And they have a chance against the Aggies. He's Vic Faust, the former Tigers tight end broadcaster. I'm Luke Slabaugh, signing off. Final score tonight, Vanderbilt 17. Mizzou 10. This has been Mizzou Central Postgame, brought to you by DraftKings. The crown is yours. Good night, everyone.